All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Sadie Fitzpatrick, columnist with the Ocala Gazette, and your moderator for tonight's forum. A quick disclaimer. The Ocala Gazette and Neighborhood Storage are hosting this candidate forum as a public service. The views expressed by the candidates are their own, and their appearance at this event does not imply an endorsement or recommendation by either the Ocala Gazette or Neighborhood Storage. I want to give a special thank you to Neighborhood Storage for serving as our sponsor for tonight's event, and to the Marion Theater for hosting us. Now, a few housekeeping items about how tonight's forum will be conducted. The questions asked tonight are a combination of questions developed by the Ocala Gazette editorial team and voter-submitted questions. They will touch on city policies, procedures, and the candidates' platforms. There will be no audience questions to the candidates. We ask that you please refrain from loud cheering, clapping, or any outbursts until the question period is over. Seating in question order has been randomly decided by me. I will introduce each candidate and ask them to explain their qualifications. They will have 1 minute to do so. There will be 2 individual questions per candidate for District 4. There will be 1 bonus question asked of all candidates if time permits. Each candidate has 1 minute to answer each question. For our mayoral candidates, there will be 3 questions per candidate. Each candidate has 1 minute to answer each question. The forum will not be a debate, and candidates should not interrupt each other or me. At the conclusion of the questioning, each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes to make a closing statement. Time limits for all comments will be strictly enforced. Let's get started. All right, I'd like to invite our candidates for mayor up, Mayor Kent Gwynn and Manal Fakori. Welcome, candidates. You may sit, you may stand, whatever is most comfortable for you. All right, Mayor Gwynn, we'll start with you.
All right.
You guys will have a brief intro, 1 minute each. Okay. So you go first.
All right, thank you. So thanks for everyone being here tonight. Let me just tell you a little quick information about me. My family came here probably 170 years ago. I'm a 5th generation Ocalan. Married to my wife, one and only wife, my better half, the voice of reason in our house for the past 41 years. She was a school teacher, just retired a couple of years ago. I have 2 sons. One's now in Ocala, moved from St. Pete. And I have another one in Tampa that's still working there. And been in the insurance and investment business and banking business for the past 39 years and served on city council for 12 years. And now you're mayor for the past 10 years. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you. Manal?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Dr. Manal Fakori, and I came to Ocala in 1987 as a newlywed. I had just graduated from the University of Southern California with my Doctor of Pharmacy degree, and immediately when I showed up, I started my residency at the University of Florida, and earned that residency, was pregnant, and was hired by Ocala Health, which was West Marion Community Hospital at the time, as their clinical coordinator. And boy, has pharmacy changed, has healthcare changed. So I was able to introduce a lot of the clinical services. I worked initially part-time as I started to have all of my amazing children, 5 children. So the joke at the hospital was when I missed the Pharmacy and Therapeutics Committee meetings, I was out having my baby. Because I was blessed to have good pregnancies and good deliveries, so I was always back to work. And I started serving the community right from the beginning with Junior League of Ocala and the Discovery Science and Outdoor Center, which led me to Leadership Ocala, that led to the Chamber of Commerce, to the United Way campaign, and really to see a foundation in every different organization. I have been blessed to work and learn so much about our city and to contribute the best way that I could. I come from a family of philanthropy and hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'll start with your questions. Mr. Gwen, earlier this year, several city council members voiced frustration that the city council didn't have more authority over the police department. This is traditionally overseen by Ocala's mayor. Why do you think they were frustrated, and do you think both Ocala and the mayor would be better served if council had more oversight of the police department?
Well, I mean, I don't know why they were upset, but I will tell you why they shouldn't be in charge of the police department. The chief answers directly to the mayor, and then everyone else to the chief. There are many times that we make decisions that need to be made in a moment's notice. To ask 5 people, what's your opinion, or what do you think we should do? That just doesn't work. Our charter's set up kind of like the federal government, that the executive branch of the city is the mayor's office, just like the president oversees the military. The mayor oversees the police department. So I would think that the best thing to do is what we've decided to do, and it's worked since the charter was instituted back in, I think, 1967, 65. It works, and there's no reason to change it.
Thank you. Now, according to your platform, one of the issues you plan to address is investing in Ocala, creating opportunity, in which you state, quote, "Manal will make sure the west side of Ocala gets its fair share of resources, where in past years it has been neglected, leaving many Ocalans behind." How would you use your position to further your stated goal?
Thank you. And if you have paid attention to any of my materials or heard me speak, and my whole tagline is serving all of Ocala. And I have to say that again because there is a whole segment of our community does not feel represented. They don't feel that they're paid attention to. So Ocala and West Ocala deserves a mayor as well. They deserve to feel that their voices are heard, that they have representation, that they have resources. We can't just look at that side of the city when it's election time. We have to be engaged. We have to understand what are the resources that are missing. What is it that the community is asking us for help with? And we have to be able to be really great partners, great collaborators. It's not about us going in and enforcing our ideas. It's really bringing the community together and saying, why is West Ocala not getting its fair share of resources? How can we uplift that community? So that's what that is about.
Thank you. Mr. Gwynn. Chief Balkin has gone on record noting that Ocala has a problem with gun violence, which has led to deaths among teens in the Black community in particular. What are you doing as mayor to help build bridges between the police and these affected communities to lead to meaningful change?
Sure. Well, and then one of the things we're doing, we just had a little read-in, and there was some pictures on Facebook of that in the community. We've just bought a little ice cream truck that we'll be taking out, and not just the chief and I, but officers at the police department will be doing that to communicate with the kids. But that's not the problem with the gun violence. The gun violence is something else. The gun violence is people know who's doing it, and they're not saying who's doing it. They're afraid to do it. DJJ is broken. You've got people that have been doing this since they're 13, 14, 15. Nothing's been done to them. Now they get to be 16, 17 years old, and they're shooting people. There were crimes that they were doing along their early years that they should have been held accountable for. They're not. And what you see is what's happening. There's a pastor friend of mine, Daryl Torbert, who's doing an event here shortly at Carver Park by the Boys and Girls Club, and it's drug dealers, former drug dealers, that are reaching out to those youth and telling them, look, this is not a life you want to aspire to, and that solution is a man of faith. I know that solution is with the church.
Thank you. The Ocala Police Department is understaffed. How can you make our police force a more enticing job for new cadets? If you plan to increase their compensation, by what means will you do this?
Okay, thank you so much. And I think we spoke earlier about the police and having the resources that they need, the training, the support, and truly it does start from recruitment and be able to also have the not only the recruitment and to bring in new officers and to have a great package for them, but what support are we providing to each of our officers when it comes to even their own mental health and their capacity? Are we providing that kind of service to them? As far as the shortage, I think, it reminds me of many, many years ago where a principal said to me, I always have an ad out for a teacher, even if I don't have an opening, because then that way I have, every quarter I'm putting out an ad so I can always have a surplus, so when the need is needed, I can strike and have someone where I'm not starting from scratch. So the same thing, I know it takes about 14 months to train a police officer, and we have to look for ways, even within the community, and as we assess what we have to offer against other communities, how competitive are we, and what is our wow formula? What is it that we're providing for these police officers to make it enticing and meaningful for them to serve in this community versus a much larger community where they can receive more money? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gwynn, there is currently a federal lawsuit against the city of Ocala challenging the constitutionality of the city's open lodging ordinance, an ordinance you argue would prevent a, quote, skid row-like atmosphere, end quote, from occurring on our city streets. Has this ordinance prevented this problem?
Well, let me just talk about the judge's ruling. So the judge ruled we could continue to do the same thing we're doing, arrest people and charge people with trespassing. He just told us how to do it. He said that you have to find out how many beds are available, or if there's beds available, if they identify as being homeless, and there has to be a due process on the trespassing, which means that they can come back into the chief of police or his or her designee and say, I'd like my trespass rescinded. So the ordinance, is it effective? Yeah, it's effective. We can't have what you see over at Interfaith with people passed out, overdosed, the violence, the drugs, the drug sales, everything else, all over this city. Because if we let that happen, everything you've worked for, the millions and millions of dollars that we spent in this downtown will be gone like that. Right before I walked up here, I had to answer a call of a business owner that they had 38 people in back of his business that were overdosed and creating a lot of problems. So we went and trespassed every one of them.
Thank you. Recently, photos of you have circulated with Yasser Arafat and Mahmoud Abbas suggesting that you sympathize with extremist groups. Can you provide some context as to why you were in these photos?
Thank you. I would love to. I think I have to be fairly quick. So in 2013, I was approached by two Jewish attorneys from the city of Gainesville that said, Manal, we can't take credit for ending the Cold War, but we created 100 sister city relationships with Russia. We have a sister city relationship with a Palestinian city. Why don't you do it? And I said, what a great idea. I went and visited our mayor, one-on-one, let's call it two-on-one. I took a representative, suggested the idea, took the photos. He loved it. So I went as a delegate with the city of Gainesville and sat at the mayor's office there in Qalqilia, Palestine, which is the sister city for Gainesville, Florida. I love that photo. I posted the photo on social media. Yasser Arafat was the leader of Palestine at the time. Mahmoud Abbas is the current. Any governmental building has those pictures, like having a president and a governor. So that was the photo that keeps circulating, that scares everyone, that people want to shame me in my identity. But listen, I'm in Ocala. I brought my children here. My children have been born here. So I think it's interesting that when you look at something and you try to paint a scary image versus a whole group of people that you're trying to dehumanize. So I am very proud of my identity. I'm proud of that photo. It does not mean to me what it must mean and what people are trying to make it mean to themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We do have time.
Hold on, let the applause die down before you ask the question.
We do have time for a bonus question for you guys. It's going to be the same, so you'll have a minute to answer it. We'll start with you, Mr. Gwynn. COVID-19 cases are rising dramatically in Marion County, with 27% of hospitalizations attributed to COVID-19. This obviously causes a major strain on our healthcare system. Are there any circumstances under which you would support a citywide mandate for public safety, i.e. masks and social distancing?
Well, I mean, it hasn't come forward yet, so I don't know what the ordinance would look like, but we'll talk about the one that I vetoed. That was an ordinance that punished the business owners. Basically, they would call the police would come and ask, do you have a sign on your door, and have you announced over the PA system that you should wear a mask? The owner says yes. Next time they come, hey, we've identified a maskless person in your business. And you're going to get a written warning. The next time they come, they're going to get a fine. Does nothing to identify or does nothing to penalize the person with the mask on. They're never contacted. The business owners didn't want to contact that person, confront them, and basically it didn't work. We got 3 calls. One the first day it was enacted, and then 2 other ones. When we're, as far as priorities, and I got kind of hammered on this about priorities, if I'm responding to a robbery in progress and I get a call of a guy in the deli area at Publix without a mask on, what do you think we're going to do? We're going to go to the robbery in progress. This is going to be way down on our totem pole as far as response. So I'd have to wait and see what the governor does, and I'd have to wait and see, what council would do on something like that. So it's, it'd be difficult to answer until I saw the legislation.
Thank you. But now,
Same question?
do you want me to ask it
Sure.
again? Okay. COVID-19 cases are rising dramatically in Marion County, with 27% of hospitalizations attributed to COVID-19. This obviously causes a major strain on our healthcare system. Are there any circumstances under which you would support a citywide mandate for public safety, i.e. masks and social distancing?
Thank you. And I think, again, we have been in a global pandemic. And as a healthcare professional, you have to understand they're working hard. Our hospitals are stretched, the resources are stretched, and it really just takes common sense. I mean, why wouldn't we, all of us, want to protect ourselves and protect others? So social distancing absolutely makes sense. The preventative measure of wearing a mask, as much as we don't like it, we take it off as fast as we can. If it protects other people, then it's just a common courtesy. It's a basic, it's not a political statement. And I think it's unfortunate that we try to utilize our health and protecting the wellness of our community to turn it into a political statement. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys now have 2 minutes each for a closing statement. Mr. Gwynn, we'll start with you.
Okay, sure. So the city, and you've heard before, the city's heading in a good direction now. The CEP has recruited a number of companies. There's 7 million square feet of distribution facilities that'll break ground over the next 12 months. There's downtown development that's happening. 3 major blocks are to be developed here shortly. I just got a message from one of the developers today. WEC, has started, and we talk about the WEC effect and all the things that will bring to our community. Downtown development continues to grow. We're doing the opioid heroin task force that I created. That's doing good. We're working with people to help them in recovery. Currently I'm being sued in federal court over asking our community to pray, and it was to pray for, people that were shot in a drive-by shooting. I will continue to protect and defend the Constitution that I put my hand on a Bible and took an oath to defend, no matter what. I mean, that means something to me. When you take that oath, that means that's what you do. You don't get a lot of times to do that, but in this particular suit, I've done that, and we'll continue to do that. You got to genuinely care about the people you serve to do this job. I do that. That's why I've done it for 22 years, because I do care about all of the people. That's why when you call and ask for the office of the mayor, you get my cell phone. I'm a public servant. I think ought to be accessible. So I would ask on the 21st for your vote again for 2 more years and keep this city going in the right direction. Thank you.
Manal.
Okay. So leadership is being honest about where you are, being clear about where you want to go, and having the courage to get there. Ocala looks okay on the outside, but inside it's hurting, there's pain, there's homelessness, and we have to be able to have strong leadership to take Ocala to make it an exceptional city. My campaign is about making Ocala an all-America city again, not for the award, but for what happens in the process when you start to introspect, look at yourself, look at your health equity, look at do people care about each other, what are we doing for our youth, what are we doing for public safety, and the list goes on. So it is time for us to come together as a community, to have the inclusivity, to be honest about the work that we must do together to advance Ocala and make it an exceptional city. Ocala has so much potential, and I would be honored to serve as your next mayor, and I promise I will make you proud. My effort and my work and my determination is to always do the very best that I can and to bring the right people along. So it's not about one person, it's really about the entire community. And I'm so excited to have your support on September 21st. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. That concludes our mayoral forum. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Candidates, thank you so much for your participation in tonight's event. Thank you to our sponsor, Neighborhood Storage, and to our host, Marion Theater. To our audience, thank you for being an amazing audience and attending tonight. Don't forget to vote on September 21st. Mail-in ballots will be going out shortly. We will post the live stream of this event on our Facebook page. Make sure to follow the Ocala Gazette's continued election coverage on social media, on our website, or pick up your copy of the Gazette at local retail locations. Thank you and drive safe.